Lights go out. Now we're in the dark, far apart, looking up at the stars. So much space where we are, but baby, I'll find you.
Инкубаторът – сърцето на София Тех Парк. Домът на всяка нова компания, която иска да е не просто в крачка с новите технологии, но и на една крачка от тях. Да, на метри от инкубатора е лабораторният комплекс със своите 11 високотехнологични лаборатории и последно поколение петаскейл суперкомпютър, един от 8-те в Европа. И всяка една от компаниите в инкубатора има под ръка цялата тази мощ на науката, учените и технологиите. Самият инкубатор зад мен предлага всичко, от което една компания или дори само един фрилансър би имал нужда. Прекрасно офис пространство, зали за срещи и конференции, средата, както и постоянния контакт с други будни умове, които също преследват своите мечти. Има дори и парк, в който можете на открито, сред природата, да разнообразите работния си ден. Но инкубатора не е само това, което може да се види и пипне. Стартиращите компании имат достъп до разнообразни акселераторски програми, както и до всички необходими съвети и помощ от екипа на София Тех Парк. Кой фонд би бил подходящ за вашия бизнес, коя програма е отворена за кандидатстване, как да направите колаборация с лабораторията, подходяща за вашия ресърч или прототип. Експертите на София Тех Парк са на разположение на всеки с опита и експертизата си. Тук в инкубатора творят компании с различен профил. От спорттек, каквато сме ние от Barn Sports, през финтек, фултек и автомобилната индустрия. До стартиращи компании в IT сектора, създаващи така наречените дигитални двойници. Други създават тук съоръжения, задвижващи се от кинетичната енергия на децата. Част от нашата общност са и клъстерни организации, фонд и акселератори. Общото между тях е създаването на висока добавена стойност в сферата на технологиите и иновациите, както и подобряване на българската предприемаческа екосистема като цяло. В Growworking имаме възможност да общуваме, да споделяме повече, както и да работим или да си почиваме. Дава ни знания, опит, контакти и понякога приятелства. Най-вече среда. Growworking е споделеното работно пространство на София Тех Парк. Създадено специално за новатори, стартъп компании, фрилансери, както и екипите на корпоративния бизнес, където заедно всички могат да работят в една наистина творческа среда. Дори могат да идват с децата си. Clubhouse е дигиталното студио на София Тех Парк, ядрото на инкубатора, където се зараждат иновативни идеи, концепции, партньорства и проекти. Clubhouse е домът на вече 14 клуба по интереси, които организират регулярни месечни видеоиздания, както и подкаст. Пространството е подходящо за различен формат онлайн и хибридни събития. Независимо дали развивате хай-тек джаджи, които подобряват спортните постижения и предпазват от травми, или пък искате да създадете новия Facebook, или може би вашата компания е бъдещия биоинженерен гигант на Европа, то едно е сигурно. Най-доброто място за старт на това приключение е София Тех Парк. Заповядайте, за да създаваме бъдещето заедно.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first edition of the Clubhouse, which is dedicated to green economy, green transition and circular economy. My name is Mariana Hamanova and I'm Executive Director of Cleantech Bulgaria. And today I'm pleased that we start this initiative together in partnership with Sofia Tech Park because we open a new season, we open a new form of cooperation, and in the next months and years, hopefully, we will be guiding you through different interesting topics related to the green economy, to the green transition, to all this, what is around us, and it will create a sustainable growth in the next years and hopefully centuries. Today we are here with our partners from a project under the Interreg program, which we have been jointly implementing in the last 3 years. There have been tough years implementing such ambitious international project because due to the COVID and all the restrictions, we were very limited in traveling. And our project is exactly in the topic of green innovation and green startup support. Actually, the GRESS project is much more than a cooperation and exchange of knowledge. It's a real-time experience of partners of different communities and ecosystems in learning from each other how we support the green startups in our regions. And today we are together here with 3 out of the 4 country partners of the GRESS project, and the partnership is composed from Norway, which is the lead partner. We have Poland, Italy, and Greece. Unfortunately, the Greek partners today are not with us, but we are happy that we managed to gather all the rest of us all together here in Sofia Tech Park, and to have this first edition of the Clubhouse dedicated to green economy. And I will start now with presenting our guests, and actually they will present themselves by themselves, because we want to have a very open discussion. We want to exchange opinions, to discuss what are the challenges in our countries, and of course how we can cooperate together and what are the next steps that we can accomplish. And I will give then the first word to Øyvind from Norway, Kristiansand municipality, to present himself and to say a few words about the municipality.
Yes, thank you, Mariana. I am Øyvind Ladrud. I work as an international coordinator in the municipality of Kristiansand. I've been with the municipality for many years. I worked with business development and many international projects with European Union funding. This project, GRESS, as you introduced from the beginning, has been on green innovation, and that is what I have been working with closely the last few years, if you don't include the COVID times. So, but still we have been able to work very well together, even though we had COVID, with the digital solutions. So I'm the international coordinator of Kristiansand, and also the lead partner of the GRESS project.
And Øyvind, what would you say that Kristiansand is a green municipality? Would you name it like this? And if not, what is limiting you to say it? What should be done more?
Yes, that is when you depending on who you will compare us with. But in Norway, I guess we're among the first, the best, but still not the best. So we have a way to go still. But we are a green municipality. People bicycle to work. Many of them do. We have a public transportation system that works not sufficiently well, but it works, and we have done a lot of things which will probably correct to call us a green municipality, but that doesn't mean we have reached the ambitions like climate neutral city. That is still far away.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I imagine. But nevertheless, I think that we have you as an example, and a very good example to learn, because Norway is actually also among the leaders in green energy, and also implementation of all these green sources into the business, into the life. So it's great to be able to have these examples, because of course they cannot be adopted directly and used directly, but at least to see something working and something which is already functioning, it's a completely different story than to read it, you know, like a report, and to have it in front of your eyes. And we will talk about these examples a little bit later. Now I will pass the word to Valeria from Bologna municipality to introduce herself and to say, of course, a few words about the municipality and the green project.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Mariana. I'm Valeria Murgolo from the metropolitan city of Bologna, and I am an European project officer. I follow this new project in GRESS, and I'm happy to be part of this metropolitan city that has a leading part in green and sustainable policies and services also in the region, and also Emilia-Romagna is a leading region in the arguments in Italy. So I will have a lot of things to say about it.
And again, the same question. Do you think that Bologna is a green city?
Yes, as also Ovind was saying, there's a lot of things to do still, but we are at a good point at the same time, because also compared to other cities or other regions in Italy, we are at a good point of in sustainable mobility and also in green enterprises support. And so I think we are at a good point at the moment, but there's still a lot of work to do, of course.
Great, thank you. And now we pass to Poland. So we cover, you know, almost all geographies of Europe, and this is exciting and interesting just because we are so different, but in the same time, there are a lot of common things that come, in a way, bring us together. So,
thank you very much. Hello, my name is Krzysztof Żarna. I am from northwest part of Poland, the Western Pomerania region. I represent regional administration, the Marshal's office. I'm heading up office for development projects and cooperation with international organizations. What I can say about our role in a project, we are a typical learning partner in this project. Later on, probably I will have an opportunity to explain why. You have to learn a lot in Western Pomerania how to support startups. Western Pomerania is it's a very specific region in Poland. We have the longest coastline in Poland, so tourism is one of our best interests. Forward to your question, we think and we put much effort to be the green region. Forestry is also one of the big industry in Western Pomerania, but we can say that we are not industrial region, so it's also for us opportunity to keep the region green.
Keep the region green. Yeah,
yes, and because of environmental conditions, we also the biggest producer of energy from the windmills.
Okay.
Yes, we are windy region.
How big is your region? How many?
1.7 million people.
1.7, so yeah. Quite. And it's dispersed. So there are several smaller cities, or
it's sometimes makes problems because our capital city Szczecin is not in the central part of the region. We are on the western part of the region, so we have we can say we have two agglomerations. One is the Szczecin, the biggest one, almost 4.5 million people, and Koszalin and Kołobrzeg. This is the second leg of our region. All the shipbuilding industry and heavy industry is settled in Szczecin, but tourism, this is the Szczecin, Kołobrzeg and Koszalin.
Okay. Well, quite challenging task, you know, having the industry, having the tourism and sustainable tourism as such. It's not an easy task to combine, but you know, these are the challenges of the future, combining the business industry and the sustainable growth, so to say, because you need the industrial and the business growth, but you also have to, in a way, balance it with sustainability issues, which becomes more and more difficult lately. But this is actually why we are all here today to discuss about that. For those of you who don't know, I will say also a few words about Cleantech Bulgaria. Actually, we're super happy that we are today in this studio. It reminds me for the years that we had our office here in Sofia Tech Park since 2016 till 2019. So the one who are here or were here in that moment for sure know us. But for the people who join now, we are the sustainable network for clean technologies and innovations in Bulgaria. So we are based in Sofia, but we work on the territory of the whole country, having regional and local partners all over the country. And we are also proud with the fact that we managed to cover everything from the education through the business support and SME support, and going then to the national authorities, also educational institutions, academia, and public authorities as well. So this is quite complex activity and navigation between the different challenges, needs, and what is possible to be done, because at the end you have a lot of ideas, but it's completely different thing what you can implement. Over the past 10 years, we have been working very actively in supporting startups in the green field and supporting SMEs in the green transition pathways, because this is also an important thing to do, to support the existing companies and the existing potential while transforming their businesses into sustainable business models. And what we do on third place is supporting municipalities while planning their strategic documents, their strategic agendas, and setting the milestones for their action plans. Because very often the municipalities and also the public authorities in general are very framed to long-term milestones or key performance indicators that they have to get to. But the smaller steps are these what makes the difference, because you cannot jump from one step to 10th without putting the steps. And we are helping exactly here, knowing the startups, knowing the industry needs, knowing what is missing in the ecosystem to connect them. Together with that, we are also very active part of the innovation ecosystem in the country. So besides here the partnerships and cooperations with Sofia Tech Park, we are co-funding members of already existing and established ecosystems and clusters, like the biotech cluster. We are also a founding partner of a digital innovation hub in construction sector, digital innovation hub in food. We work very closely with different sectoral organizations, and we are a board member of the largest and most prominent association of the Bulgarian business, namely the Confederation of Industrialists and Employers. And through there, actually through the different stakeholders, we are able to navigate and find which are these key bottlenecks where you can intervene and find some measures to be connected. And actually, this is what we do. It's we are very happy with that activity, and very happy that we see it growing, see it developing and happening, because it's always a challenge. But when you are dedicated and when you work in a way that you create bridges, then it works. So with this, I would like to make a transition to these bridges between our regions, and talk a little bit more with you, discuss it actually how your regions and municipalities support the green startups. With what exactly, what are you doing now, what you did in the past, because it's probably not a result of 1 or 2 years activity, but how do you generally support and plan the activities, for example, in Kristiansand that are related to the green startup support?
Well, thank you, Mariana. It's a wide spectrum of services that we can provide to the startups. But most basically, they when you have sort of registered a startup or you're about to do it, you need training and courses, and for the most like basic things, how you do this and how you do that, and so this is what One thing that we can provide the companies, the people that would like to set up a startup, and at a later stage, of course, as here in this wonderful place, you have an incubator, which will probably be able to pick the companies that they see a potential for that could be growing and scaling up and even towards foreign markets. So we have an incubator which is partly funded by the municipality, the state, and also private sources. So it's a mixed funding for that. And of course, we were also very in collaboration with the first co-working space that started in Kristiansand, which is many years ago, but still we were involved in the establishment of the co-working space, and now we see several co-working spaces, and I know that networking and being able to share experiences and to learn from each other is very important. Maybe the most important thing, also to be provided legal services, commercial services, and like patent services, if that is needed. I guess you have all these services also available here at the tech park. So that's important. And coming back to the municipality is what we talked about before the broadcast, is that the way that the municipality can co-innovate with startups, that's not so normal, because the startups fail in having all the formalities in place, like the licenses, like certifications, like having trade unions, turnover, being registered for several years, etc., etc. So what we have done now the last year, and what we are interested in pursuing, is the co-innovation with startups, particularly targeted at startups for solutions that we don't have yet, but we know that we will need it. Let's say that this and that is a problem for us, and then we can sort of try to be creative together with the startups. And we don't know if we can use the solution or the pilot, the prototype, but it's a way of having more ideas, because the startups represent such a creative community. So we see that we will need this more and more. So that was a few examples of what we can do as public sector.
In our preliminary discussion, you mentioned that on a national level there is an initiative already started for procurements dedicated to startups.
Yes.
So can you share some more details about that? And is it a national kind of initiative or local one?
It is like a tool established last year from at the state level. It's the directorate, and they created like a program. So in Norway we have Innovation Norway, which is really helpful for many companies, not only startups but all the way up to the big companies as well. So they can support you with funds and with assistance on foreign markets, more assistance than funds. But for the startups and the small and medium-sized companies, it's both. You know, grants from when the company is being, when you're a startup, you can have grant like 10,000 euro just to find out whether it's a market for your
to
solution.
Validate your interest.
Exactly. So when it comes to this this tool again, it was launched last year. And it's a test. So now we have done 2 projects in Kristiansand, and now they have it's targeted at green innovation. Now they have come up with a tool for circular economy. So circular businesses can actually use the tool, but you need sort of an owner of the challenge, like a municipality. That if we want to, how can we clean the beach? Right, we're a beach city, and a ferry city. So you can say, like, we have some problems in cleaning the beach in this way. By the way, Sofia is very clean and nice, so we have recognized that already. But in Norway, we're not that good all the time.
Yeah,
Keeping the places tidy.
This is a good thing that you say. So
Yes,
we are not you know, used to say that we are clean and green city. But I think that Sofia became in the last couple of years changed a lot in terms of performance of the common spaces, of the green spaces. So, you know, hearing from someone from Norway that we are more clean than a Norway municipality, it makes me feel proud
but it's,
to live in Sofia.
It's true. So now we are excited to learn that there is a tool for circular economy, and we have to find challenges that we can come up with and see if it's possible for us to use this tool once again, but within the circular economy area.
Great.
So the state, we have to pay some money to the state, but then they will have special advisors that will help us all along the process from launching the tender to having the prototype ready with one provider, one business. So we start with like 5, 6, and then we end up with one. Okay. So this is a process like we follow all the way. So we're excited about that, and we have learned a lot from the 2 projects we've carried out.
Yeah, that's great. And once you have some advancement in this, please do share it with us. We can have another meeting like this one to share this experience, because it's extremely important. Actually, also for us working with a lot of startups, the main challenge is always to find the owner of the problem who is ready to support you to check whether this solution is working. And usually the startups are very flexible instruments. So the startup support is an instrument that can help to fine-tune certain solutions that are existing, or if they're not existing, there is a reason for not existence of these solutions, whether the big companies are too heavy to provide these, or they don't have the flexibility enough you know, to make it in these smaller parts. And I will give you an example. I think that it's a very good one. Actually, it's implemented in Sofia. And yesterday, when we have been walking, you saw that there is already electric cars. There is, you know, this electric mobility trend growing. In 2018, we had one startup from Varna, a small company that in that time was small, producing e-bikes. Actually, they came in our accelerator. It was here in Sofia Tech Park. And they received a small grant for further testing and validating of the prototype of the bicycles. And also the whole thing around supporting with networking, with advice, with certain things that they needed. After 1 year of this, we worked actually very close with them. So it was like a weekly guidance, because at the end the product is a long-standing thing, but all the rest of the connections are important. And what we managed to do is to ensure funding through the EIT network, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, through the EIT Climate Kick, because we are hub managers. Cleantech Bulgaria is hub manager for the EIT, and actually they gave us some budget for the Pathfinder project. We brought Sofia municipality on board. We brought the National Museum, because actually we made the first pilot charging station with 10 bicycles in front of the National Museum, which is on the way to go to Vituša Mountain. And actually the idea was to use the e-bikes for people, citizens of Sofia or tourists, who to go with a bicycle up in the mountain. And in this way, Sofia municipality to fine-tune and test whether they can block the traffic with cars to not go in the national park, because Vituša is the big territory of Vituša Mountain. It's a national park. And at the end, we had like 4 or 5 different challenge owners, because the Sofia municipality wanted one thing, you know, to test where they can stop the traffic. The national park had, of course, different challenges and different things to think of. The startup company by itself wanted to be popular and to also fine-tune how much the people could pay for this, 5 level, 10 level, 20 level per hour. They didn't know this is a service that it doesn't exist. You don't know how much the people will be really ready to pay for renting these bicycles. Also to test whether the different parts are resisting, you know, because they never tested it in real life. And then the guys from Spark, from the e-cars, they were exactly in that moment already in the second year of working. They decided to make a charging station for the e-car next to the e-bikes. And it became kind of a e-mobility hub altogether. They supported the startup with the infrastructure because it was hard to bring the electricity over there and everything. And at the end, it became one great project, you know, and it still works and it's growing and it's you know, by itself, and it's having not only validation but a real impact, you know, real need for this. And this was born just, you know, like this. So going here, going there, and trying to find people who are really interested in supporting this. But in that moment, the green public procurement topic went very in front of us, because actually the municipality was not able at all to subcontract or to, in a way, perform any type of financial contribution to this project to the startup. You know, it was absolutely difficult to organize that. And yeah, that's why we are very interested in this, because once this potential is unlocked, I think that the rest will go very fast, because usually you don't have other limitations than the one which are in the Public Procurement Act, which are somehow limiting and making the administrative burden too high for a startup. But this was just an example that I thought about, but it's absolutely true that you cannot just, you know, push one side of the whole, you know, circle. So it's yeah.
You have to work on
It is
both.
necessary to create a network between all the parts of the territory.
And also to know what are the main challenges of each one of them. What are their main problems? Because you cannot tackle with one and the same problem all of them.
No.
They have completely different way of first thinking, and also they need different things that they need to achieve for each one of them. So they cannot see from the glasses or from the point of view of a startup. They cannot, you know, each of them is having its own preconditions, and they cannot change, and they will not change that. So we cannot change the ecosystem in its structure, but we should create these connections in order to facilitate the better coordination among all of them. And this is actually very needed to happen. And usually, so here in Bulgaria we are trying to do that. In other countries, like I know for in Norway for sure, but also in Italy, that there are different other structures which are public private partnerships who are also supporting this startup transition. And now question to you, Valeria, about Bologna and the ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem in Bologna.
I think that Emilia-Romagna region really works in the argument because of the connection between all the parts of the region and of the metropolitan city. There's some services that collect data from green enterprise to have knowledge about the state of things and statistics about how is the phenomenon going. So, and on the other side, there's also this kind of observatory is also a tool necessary to have feedback from startups too. So you can, from a public point of view, you can of course prepare the territory and make it attractive, but at the same time you can take your decision starting from their feedback. So there's this kind of connection, and I think that's one of the reasons why Emilia-Romagna region is working well in the argument. For example, there's the observatory, as I was saying, but at the same time there's some opportunity for startups and enterprises also from abroad, like Ecomondo exhibition, that is an international exhibition where everybody can meet each other and know about, I don't know, innovation machine, and also talk to other same kind of enterprises or startups coming from all over the world. And this kind of combination between the public procurement for the territory to make the territory attractive and to enhance also enterprises to compete and to be active in the argument, I think that is what make Emilia-Romagna a metropolitan city working on it. And there's every stakeholder of the city that has his own part on it, and it works. And
what is actually the Green Observatory doing in simple things? So what information do they collect and then provide?
They manage the green startup and enterprise database, so they have a complete view of the situation, and at the same time it gathers info and communication about the opportunities that they can reach in the region. For example, Arter is the institution that allows Greener Observatory, and also it is a joint stock consortium for attractiveness and research territory that is focused on different kind of I will say clients, but it's not the right word. They focus on research, on the enterprises, on startups, and on innovation. And they focusing on startups. They have this online platform, for example, that is Eroi, coming from Aster, active innovation platform. And that is also a good example of how online networking can also permit them to know each other and to know also the opportunities, because as we know, also thanks from the feedback from green enterprise and startups, one of the main problem is that they don't have the knowledge at the beginning also to know how to access to funding, for example, or also they don't have the technology necessary to go a step forward, you know. So this kind of institution of services are also useful to connect startups, public services, and private sector that can allow to startups to grow faster also in the territory. So I think that this kind of combination between public, private, and bottom activities, it's the perfect mix for for this
sure,
kind of argument.
For sure it is, and we are also keen to learn more about the Green Observatory and see whether there might be an interesting another project or opportunity to implement certain case studies or good practices from your regions here or from our region in one of the countries, because I think that everything is already invented.
Yeah.
There are very few things that most probably are still to be invented in certain, especially in this, you know, collaborative manner. So it's just about connecting people, make them feel trust and working comfortably one with each other. And then I think that the magic happens, because
next step is make people come into this huge infrastructure that are working, but people need to understand how to really live that space, I think.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And this is just happening with real examples, you know, because whatever you're doing in terms of legislational changes and public procurement or whatever. So of course this is very, very important, as already discussed, and we cannot go without that. But at the end, it's about showing that it works, giving the concrete steps and examples how and what and to whom to refer to in order to make, let's say, the whole thing work as one system.
And I think one of the best things of this kind of European project is that we come up with local and territory problem of difficulties or challenges, and then we can share also common solution that could fit or not to a local problem. So I think this is the best thing about European cooperation about it.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely agree with you. How about Poland? How do you support startups, give visibility to startups? Do you have specific activities or year plan to do that, or it's more public-private partnership and you just support what is coming bottom up? What is the usual approach?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start to answer this question from a small general remark from the project, GRESS project, and from our discussions. The Western Pomerania startup supporting environment is much more, it's not so condensed and it's not so centralized like, for example, in Italy or in Norway. Those tools, those instruments are spread between a few institutions, organizations. The biggest one and the best ones in Western Pomerania is Regional Development Agency, Technopark, and Agency for Transfer Innovations, regional. This is the regional organizations. But this means that we don't have special agency for supporting startups. But you mentioned about scaling the startups, and I think this is for Western Pomerania a very crucial moment. Because our goal is to scale startups to be able to applicate for regional development program. So the goal is to reach the scale when they have enough power to apply and to get the money from regional development program. Of course, we focus and we all the tools we have. So we have. Every institution have infrastructure when the startups can get some kind of equipment, tools, the information, workshops, for example, how to apply for EU money, example, or regional money, besides regional development program at the beginning, I mean, the beginning of the process. Not the regional part. They are not so big to apply to regional development program. We now, why we decided to be a part of the project, we are on the process to thinking that we should reshape this system of supporting. But when I hear our discussion, I think the list of needs it's quite similar everywhere.
Yeah.
It's short and closed in most cases, and we all want to support. We have different approach, and we have to learn from each other. And this is very good also in the GRESS project. To give the exact action we have, we take in the Western Pomerania region. For example, this year was called the Green Year in the Western Pomerania. This means that we decided to make a contest for the green startups in Western Pomerania. They will get a prize. The prize means the money.
How much?
I'm not sure it's already set, but
but it's
not gonna be a small amount of money.
Okay.
They will make a differences.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
them.
it's not like 5,000K.
It's not like
Okay.
Just go.
Yeah, it's not
to
like
see something.
yeah, a winner of a smaller competition. So it will be a more substantial support.
Yes,
let's say.
yes. And this is one action, and the very good example is to mention Technopark. This is IT. They concentrate on IT solutions, and they have almost every possible infrastructure to raise the startups, and they are very successful. And what also region is trying to do for the startups, so we promote the startups. We made for them commercials. We sent our startups to events all around the world. of course, usually in Europe, but if we feel that they are strong enough, we try to send them to the proper places, for example, to Helsinki or somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. And how about targeting? And this is a question actually for everyone. I was just thinking while listening to you. In order to know in which key European but also worldwide exhibitions or startup events you would like to send your startups or to bring them there, are there instruments of choosing this? Because I think this is also a challenge for authority that supports or covers partially the cost for this type of promotional activities. Because, you know, lately, not now in the COVID 2 past years, but before that, it was a huge amount of startup events, forums, exhibitions. And at the end, I think that it's very hard for a public authority to decide whether to go in Abu Dhabi and who to bring there, or to go to Helsinki, or to go to, I don't know, a smaller town somewhere in the south of Spain. And this is very important, because actually the whole system is working like a bubble. So you have this startup you know, bubble growing and growing and growing. So these are the solutions, but startups are not one solution fits all. You know, it's something that should be very good fine-tuned to the local, regional, or national ecosystem, and knowing what exactly you should support. Because you know, it's easy to design and spend some money for some programs which seems to look like the good choice. But I was asking myself, and I do ask myself very often, is this really helpful? Because sometimes the startups, they have the need of a support which is not costing a lot of money in terms of, you know, monetary expression of a value, but they need something more. And this is our impression, that very often it's not about money only, or even when they have money, through different accelerators, regional or national funding mechanisms, through European projects. They spend them in not efficiently, not in a not efficient way. For example, they give a lot of money to marketing expenses, you know, creating some nice visuals, logos and everything, starting from there, and not thinking that probably the product or the service that they're designing is not needed, or the client is not wanting it in this way, and they want it in another shape, not a circle but a triangle, you know. And this is where I think this regional support should be addressed more efficiently, because it's not about giving the money. The money can be spent in 1 year without even thinking, you know.
It's knowledge too.
Yeah.
May I try answer this question?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
It's just a, you know.
You have a point, I think. The first thing, in my opinion, is to listen what the startup says, because they know exactly where they have to go. And usually they will tell us everything. They will tell us what are the special needs for them. The catalog is, of course, I think it's closed, but you mentioned this. They can have special needs. So the dialogue is the first thing. Of course, what region can present them? We can present them the frameworks, and to try convince them that here are the conditions, here are the frames, you have to fit
in
to
one
that,
or the other,
yes,
yeah.
to spend the money you get in a proper way, yes. And the basic thing is that innovations will not come from the regulations or mechanism or things like that. It comes from people. And people makes they start startups. Yes. So for example, the observatories you mentioned you have in Italy. So this is the way how to get information from the startups, and this is the good example how to do that.
Also, more specific services
Yes.
could be helpful, like the
Yes,
one-stop
yes,
shop, you know,
yes.
to know better the startup we are dealing with. Also, maybe private hub accelerator can be a facilitator for the first phase for a startup, because you know public entities are naturally impersonal and have a lot of office, a lot of services to manage. So for startups, maybe for the first phase, for know what they want to do and who they are, maybe private hub accelerator can be a facilitator to then move on the public territory and access funding or what they need.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, sure.
Yeah, you asked about the different startup mechanisms and also meeting places. I have earlier, before COVID, been involved in bringing startups to Mesh in Helsinki. You mentioned Helsinki, which is a great place in Europe for startups, and it's interesting for the startups also to connect there and meet other startups. Also been to Austin, Texas, to the South by Southwest, which is a tech conference and exhibition. That is more, I would say, it's for more mature startups. I would even say companies that's been around for some years and also have had some new equity capital, risk capital inserted in them. So I would say this is something for startups that has been around for some years and know that the US market could be of interest, but also other markets, of course. And also to North Side, it's an event for startups. It was an event for startups in New York, in Brooklyn, which was really interesting. But when it comes to the experiences, what have we gained? What are the outcome? And after the South by Southwest in Austin, two of the startups was given a possibility to establish themselves in Austin and in an incubator, private incubator. And they really wanted this, but it was too early for them. Yeah. So you need to know the startups.
Proper growth.
Yeah, they have to be have had some years of experience. They have to be able to be abroad for a year or even more, and have the capital to do that. And if you don't, then there's
and also the capacity, internal capacity,
yes.
to distribute the processes, to manage them from different countries or continents, which is making the things challenging, especially if you talk about a team which is composed from 3 or 4 people.
Exactly.
And you know.
But I think these kind of international events are useful the same also for little startups, because you can touch what the word is about the argument, even if you're not ready enough for being part of that. You can have an idea of where the world is going. So also, as you were saying before, some years ago you took some startups in Ecomondo exhibition. That was an international exhibition with innovation machines, and maybe it was difficult to integrate for startups in that kind of exhibition, but still I think they could learn something about the ecology and green world, and also get in contact with bigger realities on the argument too.
Absolutely, yeah. Everything is helpful, you know. It's I'm not saying that it's just not making sense, but I think that once you go on certain conference and you know what is there, then the next time you can further fine-tune the request side, because you know to whom it will serve the best, this mechanism, solution, exhibition, whatever it is. Because you know, I agree with you that we should ask and listen to what the startups say they think they need, but sometimes, I'm not saying always, because it's of course depending on the growth, depending on the expertise of the people there. It's very usually they're biased by certain things. So they like their idea so much, you know, that if you just say, but this is not making sense, then they start getting offended. And this is the usual situation when it's about, you know, something that you invested your heart and your whole time available in it. That's why I think that there should be at least some kind of a framework, like you mentioned, because you explained it very good, in which there are some ways to navigate around that in the way that you achieve the next step.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Because,
also be ready to change your first initial idea.
yeah,
It's necessary.
this is absolutely
to
necessary.
love your project, but not to be attached too much on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I think that we covered a lot of topics, and there is a huge space for discussion further. But I would like probably to end our discussion today with one question which is more directed to the green economy. And actually, what is your understanding or feeling about that? What a green innovation is? So, because there are a lot of definitions. First, what is innovation? Then what is green? So it's very challenging talking about green economy and supporting green growth. What do we understand when we say this? Because in the last couple of years, let's say 2-3 years, sometimes I think that we as a society, I'm not talking about certain groups, but as a whole and also as business, we strive to go into this green direction without thinking that probably this solution is making another preliminary raw material source, or after that the waste management and what remains as waste from our service or product is unsustainable. We don't see the whole system as a whole. And of course we stimulate now the green mobility and e-mobility, but we don't probably, or we forget a little bit the aspect that in order to charge all these green vehicles, we need again energy. And this energy is produced usually from ungreen sources.
Yes.
So at the end, and then we produce batteries which are difficult to recycle or expensive still to recycle. And at the end, how green are we by pushing one or another thing while not taking into consideration the whole picture? And the whole picture is the one that matters at the end, because otherwise you're just redistributing the pollution somewhere else on the earth.
Yes.
You know, and this is actually something that I have been thinking a lot, and I would be curious to hear what is your opinion. How do you feel it on a personal and professional level? Because we are all engaged in this type of contexts, but you know, thinking about that it's good.
Green economy. When we talk about green economy, it's like a theoretic word.
Yeah.
And it's really not that easy to
Dissonance.
describe. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why there are several ongoing projects with researchers in Europe and elsewhere where they're trying to define what is the green economy and what kind of businesses are green. But let's say we have several things which are going on. And one of the things we can see now from this year is the EU taxonomy.
Yeah.
With the 6 criteria, and one of them being you have to make the world a little better in one certain area, a little less polluting, less climate gases, etc. And you must make no harm in another one.
Exactly.
That's sort of
The logic.
yes, the logic behind it, and that's something we could sort of define if you do that. But then you have so many contradictions here. So what is the ship, the carrier of gas or oil could be battery driven, it could be electric or hydrogen driven boat, but the cargo could be oil.
Exactly.
Is that green? So it's so
Yeah.
many contradictions. So we have to sort of define what is a green value chain. Are you working in a green value chain or not? And this is not so easy to define.
No.
So that's why we have learned from Bologna about the Green Observatory, and what we have done is we take the concept and we also start to define the indicators, and we are working on a project with a research partner in Trondheim in Norway, Cleantech, which is a huge research institute, and they are working now on indicators, and the indicators set to try to come up with what is green growth, what is a green value chain, and are we moving in the right direction?
Exactly.
So we have to measure what we do in our region, we have to compare with other regions in Norway, and we have to compare with Italy, Poland, Bulgaria.
Also between indicators.
Yes.
Because it's a huge amount of indicators, so it's also necessary to focus on a set of indicators that could be common for all the realities. To not
and you have to sort of value one indicator less than others, and then you have to compare and use them together.
Yeah.
And it's mathematics also.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It is
So it's not easy to define. But in Norway, just to sum up, we are moving in the right direction, but still, many people, and rightfully so, but now we are in a crisis. So oil production is going on for full. Natural gas, of course, which is better than coal, but still it is climate. We have climate gases from natural gas, but now we have many companies working in trying to make the world a little better. So hopefully we will be able to define and see the growth of the green economy very, very soon. And so also our measures, what we do from the municipality side and what we do from the state side, that we actually can see that it's working. But,
that's important. That's very important, and I would like to step on your words and just make a final conclusion, because this is actually the essential. It's like trying, not stop trying, and of course having the way, the instruments, the tools to check it, whether it works or not. Because there are complex things running in parallel very often, and our dependency right now on energy, or it can be one day water, it can be soil, and this time will also come, you know, sometimes we are not even aware how
maybe
fast.
we're still there, I think.
I think also, but you know, defining it like a crisis, it's already when it becomes like spread around a lot of countries, and that's why we should be wise. I think we as society, as governments, as population, be wise in planning, and also not being afraid of saying I've mistaken, because you know, better to say it after 2 years, or not keeping it for 10 or more, just because you are not feeling comfortable to say. If you're a municipality, government, whatever you are, I mean, you should be able to say I did a mistake. I mean, I did my best, but I did a mistake. So this was a wrong prediction. It didn't give the right result. So these metrics of measuring what is good or bad result
Testing
should be in place, and it should be visible for everyone. I mean, it should not be some kind of behind it can be something very scientifically proven, but at the end it should be easy to understand, because the people should understand whether their money through taxes or other mechanisms are going and are invested into things that are bringing really the result that they're supposed to bring, or it's just, you know, the expression of some marketing or PR campaign which would like to make it greenwashing activity.
I think that is one of the duty that public entities can have at the moment, to, through policies, for example, to vehiculate the behavior also of enterprises that of course have the objective of earning money. So from the public side, we have the capacity to vehiculate their behavior and to push on green instead of economy, and just to find a solution between them.
Yeah, this is it.
The crucial thing should be, I think, the holistic approach to avoid a dead-end road like stick to your example like electric cars, because we focus on electric cars, we forgot about how we can get the energy and what we can do with the batteries.
Yeah.
So this chain, this is the clue and holistic approach that you have to look for every condition, not only just for one indicator. I mean, lowering the carbon emission.
Yeah.
That's all. Yes.
It's not just
Yes.
that. Also
Yeah,
because
you're
if you,
lowering it in one place and
Yes.
then
Yes.
pushing it
Pushing
in
up
another.
yonder.
because
Yes.
if you change all fuel with electricity, problem is still going. So
Absolutely. Thank you very much for this interesting
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you.
I think for a first Clubhouse broadcasting, this has been a great exchange of opinions, exchange of knowledge, exchange of what we have seen in different countries and regions. And we are very happy that you shared this roughly 1 hour with us. And we are very much looking forward to see you all in the next edition of the Clubhouse on green economy that will come with a date in June. Thank you very much and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
thank